Hey, my name's Izzy, this is Rolling Virtual Cards, coming at you with another good enough Magic the Gathering podcast. This isn't the video you were expecting. Instead of talking about Final Fantasy, again, Wizards of the Coast just changed the rules, or will be changing the rules coming up here shortly, for what can be a commander. And what they're changing is this, new rules for commander with Magic the Gathering Eternities. Legendary spacecrafts and legendary vehicles will be eligible to be played as commanders. So that's the big change, and that unlocks 22 new commanders. I figured I'd just go over the 22 commanders, give you my 10 cents on them, or I guess give you my nickel on them. There's no pennies anymore, so give you my nickel on it, and let you know my thought process. Let's just hop into it, and if you are excited for these 22 new commanders, why don't you hit that subscribe button? First off, we're going by mana value, just like I normally do. So the last ride is 1 black for a 13/13 legendary artifact vehicle. The last ride gets -X/-X, where X is 0 life total. 2 and a black, pay 2 life, draw a card, crew 2. This is a terrible commander. In commander, you have 40 life, so you're going to have to drop down to 12 life in order for this to come out as a 1/1. There's a few ways to lose life pretty quickly in mono black, where you can just pay your life into something and just drop yourself down. But then you're going to just die to like any amount of damage. So when doing the last raid, I would highly suggest stuff like Lich, Lich's Mastery, and Lich's Tomb, and other you can't lose the game cards. So like Lich says, as this enters the battlefield, you lose life equal to your life total. You don't lose the game for having 0 life. If you would gain life, draw that many cards. Instead, when you're dealt damage, sacrifice that many non-token permanents. If you can't, you lose the game. When this enchantment is put into grave in the battlefield, you lose the game. You need to protect the Lich, but this does just set your life to 0, meaning it comes out as a 1-drop 13/13. So that's not awful, but if someone has enchantment removal, you just kind of lose the game. Your goal with something like this would be to find ways to just give it hexproof, I guess. Lich's Mastery is similar. It has hexproof. You can't lose the game. When you gain life, draw that many cards. And when you lose life, for each 1 life you lost, exile permanent card or you control, or a card from your hand or graveyard. The Lich's Mastery leaves the battlefield, you lose the game. This card you need to play when you're at like 1 life, because you can't actually lose life while it's here. So your guy will be a 12/12. And Lich's life is 4. You don't lose the game for having 0 or less life. When you lose life, sacrifice a permanent for each 1 life you lost. This one's weird. So you don't lose the game for having 0 or less life, but when you lose life, sacrifice a permanent for each 1 life lost. So you still lose life here. Okay, so you still lose life with them, actually. Sorry. Yeah, you do still lose life with them. They just don't set yourself to 0 life. You just also have to sacrifice stuff, but their Lich's Tomb can be both of them are better to be played when you're at last life, so you don't have to sacrifice as much. Getting there, right? So cards like that is what you want to do with the last ride, but I can't put this guy any higher than bracket 1. It's just kind of a gimmicky commander. You're not going to be able to get a lot done with it. The only other option is to really just like ramp out your deck. Cast this, and then in response to its death trigger, pay 3 a bunch of times, like 2 and a black a bunch of times to pay 2 life and draw a bunch of cards. Then it'll go to command zone, and you can pay 3 to do it again. There's something maybe there, but I'm just going to put this at 1. I really just don't think it does much. Bessie the Doctor's Roadster is 2 generic for a 3/4 vehicle with haste. When it attacks, another target legendary creature can't be blocked this turn, crew 2. So Bessie is not a great commander. Again, the problem with Bessie here is what you're going to see with a lot of these legendary artifact vehicles is they're colorless. And what happens with being colorless is that they don't do anything. Not that they don't do anything, is that colorless decks suck. There is a lot of good colorless cards, and they keep printing more and more, so you can make them. They can work, okay? But you're at a disadvantage. running a colorless deck is worse than running a one-color deck. So right off the bat there, you're not going to see these in CDH, the colorless cards. You're not going to see them in 4. If one of these hit 4, I'll be surprised. I haven't actually gone through all of them. I briefly took a small look at them. So you're not going to hit 4. The most you're going to see is 3. Now 3, to hit that 3, you have to unequivocally just be better than a precon, right? Precons are like 2.5 to 3, but 3 is where you're allowed like 3 game changers, and precons don't really put game changers in them. So, like, anymore. So I find, like, I think they said precons were like a 3, but in my opinion, a lot of precons are like 2s. Or actually, I guess a 2 is like where you threw a deck together. To make a 1, you need to make a bad deck. Like, you actively restrict your deck. To make a 2, you just tossed a bunch of stuff together. 3 means you're trying. 4 means you're really trying, and you have like an actual like plan to win the game. Like, you're aiming for that plan. 3 is you have a plan to win the game, and you'll eventually get there. And then 5 is CDH, which is just like different ballgame. And Bessie isn't. You can't have a plan to just in 3. Bessie's stuck at 2. Well, I mean, okay, building Bessie as a 2 is simple. You just put all the legendary colorless commanders in Bessie, and now all of a sudden, all of them can hit your opponent directly. And then you go, cool, let's just add any cards that trigger on combat, like the legendary swords maybe, but then you're like, but they already give them unblockable, or at least protection in some way. So you find some other ways to just trigger combat damage, and that's not too bad. It does hit the field, it does have haste, so like, it can come out when you have 2 creatures, and one can crew it and the other one can hit them. So you can deal some decent damage running around, but Bessie itself doesn't get unblockable. And it's just a 3/4, so you got to make sure one of your opponents is open. There's a lot of hoops to jump through with Bessie, and in my opinion, it really ends up just falling flat. So if you're building this 3, you're like, okay, what's the goal here? And there really isn't one. It's just kind of like, let's run all the legendary colorless commanders and trigger unblockable on them. So, I think it's stuck at 2. I don't really think it's going to go much higher. And I can't say much more about Heart of Karen. This is too generic for a 4/4 legendary artifact vehicle with flying and vigilance. Crew 3, you may remove a loyalty counter from a planeswalker you control rather than pay Heart of Karen's crew cost. So, the point of Heart of Karen, or Karen? Nah, Karen, I think. Kyran? Yeah, the Heart of Kyran is like... The point here is that you're supposed to, like... It was meant to just be a cheap guy that had a decently high crew, but as long as you played the Planeswalker, you could just remove a loyalty counter from your Planeswalker and hit with it. And 4 damage in 1v1, 20 life, with a flyer that's also vigilance, that, by the way, you can make it block just by removing a loyalty counter, isn't bad. In a colorless deck, you don't have a lot of Planeswalkers. And it doesn't do much other than that. It's just kind of like, cool, let me hit someone. And equipments and auras don't work in vehicle decks because they fall off. So, I'm gonna drop this guy down to 1. It's 4/4 with flying vigilance and a downside where you need to either tap a power 3 or higher creature or remove a loyalty from a planeswalker in order to have it attack. I'd rather have a 2-drop with flying, a 2-drop 4/4 flying vigilance. It doesn't do enough. I think there's too much of an issue. You can't really get many places, okay? At least with Bessie, you got a plan. You don't have a plan here. Next up is Weatherlight Completed. This is too generic for a 5/5 legendary artifact vehicle with flying. As long as Weatherlight Completed has 4 or more fire resist counter on it, it's a Phyrexian creature and it just do it to other types. Whenever a creature you control dies, put a fire risk counter on selection completed. Then draw a card if it has 7 or more fire risk counter on it. If it doesn't, scry 1. This, all of a sudden, boom, bang, pow, is a good commander. It's still colorless, so you're still running into issues, but it is. There are enough colorless creatures that can return themselves from their graveyard to your hand in rotations, and enough ways to sacrifice creatures in that regard, so that a creature dies, you get a fire risk counter on it, and then you get to scry 1. And then once it has 4 or more, it can start hitting people, and it's a 5/5, so that's not too bad. And then once you have 7 more on it, instead of scrying every time a creature dies, you draw a card. So if you can loop, you can draw your entire deck out and just find some type of way to win. Since you're in colorless, an infinite colorless win con or infinite colorless mana can win you the game because you only have to worry about colorless. This would be a 4. I would put Weatherlight completed right at a 4. I don't think a colorless deck can be a 5. Not at this point in time. I don't think it's CEDH viable, okay? But I do think it can get to a 4. I think you can run the best colorless cards possible within your budget without like running like the CEDH staples. And just get like a really good Weatherlight completed commander deck where you're just sacrificing these artifact creatures, returning them to the field, scrying, getting some card advantage in that regard. Eventually gets a lot. You're protecting your Weatherlight completed, running cards that give artifacts hexproof in some ways. Eventually it's a creature, so you can equip it, and it stays a creature. As long as it's 4 or more, it's a Phyrexian creature in addition to the other types, which is what's good about it, right? So it can become and stay a creature. So I think this is actually one of the good ones. I'm going to put this at a 4. Adestria is 3 generic for a 4/3 legendary artifact vehicle with island walk, so it can't be blocked as long as the defending player has an island. Whenever Adestria attacks, if an assassin crewed this turn, draw a card. Adestria becomes an assassin in addition to its other types until the turn, crew 1. This is a classic. I think it instantly hits. Well, actually, let me check something. It should be good, but you're only given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 changelings in the deck, right? There's, I think, a few others that you choose a creature type. Like, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 changelings, 2 cards that make changelings. So that's 6 cards. And then if you double check, choose a creature type. This creature is the chosen type. Okay, let's do that. To play, no, that's a changeling itself. So that this creature is the chosen. Oh, let me put. It doesn't look like. Yeah, this creature is about to choose a creature type. No, there's a few that do it. Yeah, this creature is the chosen type. They seem, are they all shaped? No, see, that's a construct. You got the construct, you got a, so that's 6, 7, 8. Let's see, 8, 9. 9. Looks like it's just like 9. There might be a few more if you dig into it. But yeah, there's like about 9, maybe 10 cards that'll trigger Adestria in colorless. But if you can get that out, like if you can make sure you find those cards, then Adestria can be doing something because it attacks. If an assassin crewed at this turn, draw a card. It becomes an assassin in addition to its other types till the turn. But being able to draw a card every single turn is fine. And there's just not a lot of assassins. So all of a sudden you're like, can it become a 3, right? Like, this guy has a plan, and there's plenty of artifact creatures that work with it. There's not enough here. I think you're stuck at a 2. I don't think you can push that plan up to a 3. Okay? Maybe you can... Let me... Look, I'm going to revisit Bessie here. Let me double check something for Bessie. Bessie gives you 28 legendary creatures. Oh, well, I mean, legal in... There it is. Legal. Okay, 26 that are legal in Commander, right? That you can make unblockable. That's not a lot. I don't even know if that's enough to really... Yeah, I think Bessie's still stuck at the 2. You're still 1. You're a 4. And I think this is stuck at 2. Because Bessie has 26. This has maybe 10 if I didn't search well enough. At a quick glance, 9. 9 cards to make it work. To start drawing cards. Sure, Bessie isn't drawing you cards, but... Like... Yeah, I don't think this is going to be doing much here. Next. Okay, now we're getting to the best card of the bunch. Jackdaw is 1 a black... 1 a blue and a red for a 4/4 legendary artifact vehicle. When it deals combat damage to a player, you may discard your hand. If you do... Draw a card for each artifact you control. Crew 3. Jackdaw is the closest thing we get to a CDH card out of the bunch of these. I don't think it's TEDH. I don't think it's tournament viable. But I think you could build Jackdaw with a CDH set, like concept, right? All the CDH cards, all the artifacts you're running there, plus extra artifacts, right? You can easily get like a 3 power creature so that it can attack. If it does deal combat damage to player, which in CDH is viable, there's a lot of times someone will be open. You can hit them, discard your hand, and if you're having enough 0 drops and artifacts on the field, you might be able to just draw enough cards to win the game. So there's something here that could be messed with in CDH. If not, it's at least a 4. Also, it's 2 colors. It's not colorless. So, yes, Jackdaw is the best card that we're going to be talking about here. It's 100% the one you should be looking at. If you're like, out of these 22, which one should you build? Jackdaw. Build Jackdaw. You'll enjoy it. I think it's a very unique commander. There's none like it. Just being able to flood the field with artifacts and just draw a bunch after dishing your hand is really good. Yeah. And I mean, like, it's in the right colors for Commander, or for CEDH, right? Like, you can use all the right, like, blue counter spells, the red win cons, the good loops. Yeah, like, you can do a lot with this. And I think this could see play. Like, if you sat down at a CEDH table, don't be surprised if you saw a Jackdaw. So, the Falcon Airship Restored is 2 and a black for a 4/3 legendary artifact vehicle with flying. When the Falcon deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice it. When you do, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. 4 and a black, return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Crew 2. So, is this card good as a commander? I think it's actually fine. So, it deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice it. When you do, return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. This is a recursion deck. This is all about self-milling yourself to get some cool card in the graveyard that you want back. Then you can punch someone in the face with a Falcon, sacrifice it, and go, here's my cool guy. And then for 5, you can return it from your graveyard. Or, I guess, technically, you could just cast it again, but returning it from your graveyard's like, you're avoiding sorcery. You can do this. You can do the return at instant speed, and you can't be countered. So just do it at instant speed, flip it, and then you can get another card. So I think a nice mono black recursion deck, this card's doing it. It's going to sit at a nice 3. I don't think it's doing enough to make a 4 work as a recursion deck, but I think a 3 where you're just reviving like a really good, strong mono black cards could really help you there. Next is Asika's Chariot is 3 and a green for 4/4 legendary artifact vehicle. This is the one I'm excited for because I think it's cute. The Eska's Chariot enters. When Eska's Chariot enters the battlefield, create 2/2/2 green cat creature tokens. When Eska's Chariot attacks, create a token that's a copy of target token you control. Crew 4. This is just actually a fun commander, okay? There's a lot of cool tokens you can make that you can just make copies whenever it attacks. The 2 cats can crew it. So you have cats running its chariot, which is really cute. It hits the field, makes 2 cats. Token doubling works in it because you're in green. I mean, you get like 1 token doubler in green, or 2. 2 token doublers in green. 2 or 3. I think it's like 2 or 3. One of them helps your opponents, though. But yeah, like 2 or 3, and like, yeah, I think this is a fun commander. I think this hits a 3. It's just, I mean, token decks are strong, and this will make cool tokens of already existing tokens that you control. So, make the best tokens, and just kind of do what you want with it. I'd put this at a 3 cleanly. Golden Argosy, and just like that, we're back to mono, or to colorless. 4 generic for a 3/6 vehicle. When it attacks, exile each creature you crewed this turn, or exile each creature that crewed it this turn, then return to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control at the beginning of your next step. If there was enough colorless creatures with ETBs, let's see. I don't think there's enough. There's a handful that are okay, but I think we need a few more to really push this card past like a 2. I don't think there's enough to really trigger it going on, and a 3/6 swinging is fine. It's got the defenses, but again, it's a creature, so you can't really equip it, and it doesn't have evasion, so it has to just swing with its 3/6 against someone, hoping that they don't have something to block it. If it can't attack, you're not getting its triggers, and you want it to attack so that you can exile your stuff and flip it. Like, you're looking at stuff like, sure, you have some good stuff, like Solemn and Meteor Golem, Mirror Battlesphere. Yeah, I mean, like, you gotta start looking, and like some of these are like whenever you cast. This one would be fine because that one, like, you could like have a bunch of stuff crew it and just a bunch of things enter and deal the damage. Duplicate's good. This one leaves and enters, so it deals damage. Enters a 3/1/1 counter. Not when it enters the battlefield. Dead. Yeah. Threefold Thunderhawk. This one, Canopatic Spider. Nope, that's a land enters. When it enters the battle, exile. Yeah, this Canopatic Scarab Swarm isn't bad. Pilgrim's Eye isn't bad. You'd have to just be running some wastes, which is not my favorite to do in colorless decks, but like you'd want to do that. You could rename stuff with the Phyrexian Invoker if you wanted. Triskelion isn't bad. It enters with 3 counters, so you could remove 2 of them to blast some stuff and then reset it. Yeah, so there's stuff here, and maybe you can make something. So maybe it's a 3. Maybe you can push this to a 3 where there's enough creatures that you're flickering, but I think it's stuck at a 2 because it has to attack, and there's not a lot of ways to make it unblockable. You gotta jump through some hoops to make it unblockable. So I'm gonna sit it at 2, being colorless and having to attack with no evasion and no equipment ways to make it unblockable or protected. So I think it just kind of falls flat in the end. Grond the Gatebreaker is 3 and a black for a 5/5 vehicle with trample. As long as it's your turn and you control an army, Grond the Gatebreaker is an artifact creature. Crew 3. So yeah, make an army. Grond. Yeah. So just make an army, and then you can just start swinging with a 5/5 with trample. Yeah, I mean, again, if it's your turn, it doesn't stay a creature, so equipments don't really work in this deck. That's my issue. Like, it's a cool 5/5 with trample. How do I keep it a creature? You can't. Okay, cool. Great. So then my equipments drop off on my opponent's turn, and then I gotta re-equip it every turn? That's not good. Like, that's where the downside is, right? Because, yeah, if you could just give this a few, like, hex double strike it, or double its power, and in fact, you one-shot someone. Right? That's cool. It's got trample. But in the end, you're just like, you're just going to want to hit people with it. That's about it. make armies and just start swinging with this guy, hoping it does something, but it's not really doing anything. So I think in the end this just ends up being a 1. It has like thematic things like run an army, but it's not going to do you any good. RMS Titanic is 3 and a red for a 7/1 vehicle. Flying Trample. When it deals combat damage to player, sacrifice it, create that many treasure tokens. Crew 3. I think this card is viable. I think it could become a 4. It does a lot of treasure making. This says 4 drops, so it hits the field. If you can ramp it out, like the fun part about this, like if you were trying to do this even in CDH, you would want to drop this on turn 4, okay? If you could drop this on turn 4, no, not turn 4, sorry, turn 1. If you could drop RMS Titanic on turn 1, then turn 2, drop some type of 3-power thing so that it can swing and hit someone, and just go boom, take the damage, sack it, 7 treasures, cool. But I lack to see what you're going to do with those 7 treasures. Because I don't know what you are going to do for those with those 7 treasures. In CEDH. You'd need something to do with them all of a sudden. Without that, you're kind of out of it. And then it costs 6 to cast next time. And yeah. But in like 3 or 4 bracket, you might have another chance. I mean, the 7 mana you can probably sit around on in 4 and find a way to use it. Have some options to do some cool things. And in 3, you can definitely find some ways and recast RMS. So I think it gets stuck at 3. I think fun thinking or like wishful thinking is saying like, cool, let's get this guy out. Let's hit someone hard. And let's just make a big guy, right? But I don't know if it gets there. I think it kind of falls flat. Shorikai Genesis Engine is already a commander, so we'll skip him. The Belligerent. This is 2 are blue and a red for a 5/5 legendary artifact vehicle. When it attacks, create a treasure token. Until the end of your turn, you may look at the top card of your library at any time, and you may play lands and cast spells at the top of your library. The Belligerent is not a good CEDH commander. It is a good commander. I'd put this guy at like a nice 3. I don't think it gets forward because you're not doing enough with it, right? But it does give you ramp, and it does give you some kind of card advantage because it does let you look at the top after it hits someone. You do have to hit some, or actually you don't. It's just when it attacks till the turn. Yeah, so you just have to attack. So even if you don't hit someone, it's a 5/5. It might not die. Swing at someone that won't be able to kill it, even if they block it. Yeah, this could be 3, maybe 4 if you push it, but I think 3 is the nice, like, gentle ground for this one. This one will be a fun commander for people to build where you're like, cool, I'm into colors. My commander can attack. I just had to tap a 3-power. I'm making treasures. I'm getting the top card of my library out. I'm just doing some interesting, simple stuff that allows me to eventually win and isn't. It's not going to win you the game, but it's going to give you that card advantage and that mana advantage that you want in the decks. So I think it's a good 3 in that regard. The Indomitable is a card that I wish could be seen in CDH. I don't know if it will. So this is 2 and 2 blue for a 6/6 vehicle. With Trample, whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card, crew 3. You may cast the Indomitable from your graveyard as long as you control 3 or more tapped pirates and or vehicles. That bottom part is great and like a fun bracket 2 deck where you're just like, yeah, I'll play pirates and vehicles till I can keep getting this guy back from my graveyard without having to pay its mana cost, right? But a good deck is ignoring that part, ignoring the crew, and just using this as a legendary artifact that in your command zone that says when a creature you control does combat damage to a player, draw a card. This card is a 4, without thinking, because it can just attack. You can just attack with a bunch of flyers, cheap flyers or unblockables with it, and then draw a bunch of cards, cast an extra turn spell, and do it again. And then draw enough cards to cast an extra turn spell that you draw into, and do it again. And then do it again. And then do it again. That is not good to do in CDH. It's too slow. You can't get there. You run into issues normally, because there are commanders that do that, but those commanders do it for your opponents as well. I'd like to see the Indomitable attempted in CDH and see what it can do. See if it can draw you enough cards as a commander where you drop it turn 1, and turn 2 drop a flyer or 2, or like if you can drop a 3 power creature, the Indomitable can hit and draw you a card. Or maybe turn 1, drop flyers down, turn 2, drop the Indomitable, swing with 3 flyers, draw 3 cards. It already just drew you 3 cards there. Just start dropping more flyers, start drawing more cards. You might be able to get there. And your flyers, if you can get them down, they might not be useless right off the bat, because you can tap them to crew the Indomitable as long as you can get like 3 power out there just to be able to do that. You might see something there. I'd like to try it out. I think Mono Blue might have a space there. It could be fun. I don't know if it's good enough, but I think it could be fun to try. That being said, again, drop it down to 4. You're doing good. I think it's good enough in 4 to be able to just do that extra turn spell rummage and win the game that way. The Lunar Whale is 3 and a blue for a 3/5 legendary artifact vehicle with flying. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. As long as the Lunar Whale attacked this turn, you may play the top card of your library, crew 1. So this is very similar to the Belligerent without making, with 1 less color and without making you treasures. So it's not as good. But it does have flying. It's a 3/5 instead of a 5/5 as well. But its crew is 1. Is it good? I think this falls into a 3 again. It gives you just enough card advantage. That's fine. You can build a deck that like allows you to mess with the top card, the top of your library with like top, so you can like set it up so you can play a card that you want without having to top the card, without having to spin top to the top of your deck. But I don't know. I don't think it's good enough. I think it just sits at 3 as like a fine card advantage card. Having to attack with it is annoying too. Maybe it drops down to 2. Yeah, I'm going to drop it down to 2. It's not doing enough. Because, like, this guy gets a nice 3, right? A nice 3, maybe a 4 if you push it, but probably a 3. So this one, doing less, is a 2. So, the Regalia is 4 generic for a 4/4 legendary artifact vehicle with haste, and whenever it attacks, reveal cards to the top of your library till you reveal a land card. Put that card in the battle tapped, and the rest in the bottom of the library in a random order. Crew 1. This is just a ramp spell. So, colorless commander that runs ramp. And it doesn't care what the land is. It doesn't have to be basic. So, that's kind of fun. Is it good? I mean, like, I guess you can just run a generically good colorless deck. The best one you can. And this card is just, like, and you only need crew 1. So, as long as you get a 1 power creature out, right? It can be crewed and attack the same turn it comes out, and then you reveal till you find a land, put it on the battle tapped, and then just do it again every turn. So every turn, get a land. There's ways to double trigger that, and if you can double trigger it, then you're all of a sudden going, cool, let's keep double triggering and keep getting more card advantage, or more land, more mana. A colorless land deck is kind of funny. Again, this is just a better deck and a card in like any other deck, but like as a commander, it's fine. It's fine. I think it's fine, right? I think it's fine. It does something, right? It ramps you. If it's ramping you, I think you can probably play the best colorless commander deck out of there, and that sets you at least a 3, okay? You're not doing enough, but I think you get at least a 3 out of that. Weatherlight's a 4 generic for a 4/5 legendary artifact vehicle with flying. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a historic card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest in your bottom library in a random order. This is cool. This is just doing the regalia, but instead of lands, you're going to graph historic card, which is artifact, legends, and sagas. You're running a lot of artifacts here in colorless, so that's going to work. You're just add legends, so you can add any of your Phyrexian big guys to your hand. So this is just card drive return. Card selection, even. You look at the top 5 when it deals combat damage. You just need a crew 3, deal 4 damage to someone with the flying, you're going to hit someone. So, I think it's good. I think this hits like a 5, not a 5, but like a 4, maybe a 3, but I mean, it says historic. If it was just legendaries, I'd put it at a 3. But since it's historic and you can just add the best artifact you see, I'm going to put this at a 4. I think it's probably the best card advantage card we're going to see here, even if it is just colorless. The Sky Sovereign Council Flagship is 5 generic for a 6/5 vehicle with flying, and when it enters the battlefield or attacks, deal 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls, crew 3. So the Sky Sovereign Council Flagship is actually kind of cool. I think there might be combos for it. I don't think it's in colorless, though, where you can just infinitely flicker it. But there are some cards that can flicker it. If you can flicker it, because it becomes a vehicle until the end of turn. So at end of turn, until end of turn, I think it loses that, so you can't really flicker it easily. But that aside, having a creature that hits the field, deals 3 damage to a planeswalker or creature, and then every time it attacks does that, you just have good field control. That's fine. It's not as good as card control, but it's fine. So I think I put it at a 3. It's not doing you enough, but having just a decent amount of field control on your game field or as your commander isn't awful. Next is Prime Vista. The Prima Vista is 4 to blue for a 5/3 vehicle with flying, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell, if at least 4 mana was spent to cast it, it becomes an artifact creature until the turn. Crew 2. Yeah, this is just not worth it. It's a 5/3 that does nothing. It can be turned into something by either crewing it with a 2-drop or casting a 4 or higher card, non-creature card. You don't really want to run a lot of those, and you don't, like, what are you going to do, hit someone for 5? Cool. I'm putting this back down to 1. It doesn't do enough. The Prod, it's also a 5-drop, guys. The Prodwin Steel Flagship is 4 and 2 white for a 6/6 legendary artifact vehicle with flying. Whenever another non-token artifact enters the battlefield under your control, create a 2/2 white human knight creature token. With this creature gets +2/+2 as long as an artifact entered the battlefield under your control this turn. You get this guy. That's whenever another non-token artifact enters the battlefield. And it has a crew too. So, as long as another artifact enters the battlefield. Yeah. So, this card's a fun commander. I wanted this guy to be a commander originally, and now it is. It's fun. I think this is a great 4. Being able to just cast non-token artifacts, them enter. Oh, look, now we get a 2/2. And it's whenever. So you just keep doing that. All these cool, like, cheap artifacts, 0 drops, come with a 2/2, come with a 2/2, come with a 2/2. And the 2/2s become 4/4s if as long as an artifact enters the battlefield under your control this turn. So you get a bunch of 2/2s. They all become 4/4s. You have a 6/6 that can hit. You're doing a lot here, guys. That's a lot of damage out there. I think it's at least a 3. I think it becomes a 2 because you're not, or a 4 because you're in mono white, right? I think you're doing stuff. It's definitely not CDH, but it's good enough to be a mono white 4 bracket card commander. And I think it's fun. I think this is another fun commander to play that we weren't able to play before. Next, just 2 more cards here, so not a lot, guys. Volar's Flagship is 4 and 3 white for a 7/7 legendary artifact vehicle. Crew 3, cycling X2 and 2 and a white. When you cycle this card, create X1/1 colorless pilot creature tokens. With this token, saddle mounts and cruise vehicles as though the power is 2 or greater. These guys. this isn't doing anything. You're not cycling it. You got to cast it. So it's a 7/7 with flying, first strike, and lifelink. But again, because you had to crew it, it doesn't keep the equipment. So, yeah. I mean, it's 3 shots, people, and you get to keep your life, so that's okay. I mean, maybe you do a life gain deck with this deck. That's pretty fun. I do that. But it's a 7-drop. It's just, I'm putting this at like 2. At least it does something. And Parhelion 2. 6/2 white for a 5/5 legendary artifact vehicle. Flying, first strike, vigilance. When Parhelion 2 attacks, create 2 4/4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance that are attacking. Crew 4. So this is another one that I think is perfectly fine. I think it hits 3. Where you can just build it nice, you ramp it out. It is an 8-drop, so it's like not even just 7, it's 8, right? But you are going to get like 2 4/4s every single time it attacks. Flying, first strike, vigilance, so it can block, it can attack. Even if it gets blocked, it'll probably knock them out. And just being able to keep Parhelion being a dump truck, that's funny. But just being able to swing out and make these 4/4 flying angels. Flying and vigilance that are attacking. They're not tapped and attacking either. They can block. So, getting 2 4/4s on each attack is crazy, guys. That's insane. So, it is a good, very expensive commander, but I think you can make it work as a 3. I think there's enough here to really push it. The doubling up of these guys. The doubles won't be tapped and attacking. I think it's just these 2. But, yeah. I think you get a nice 3 out of this guy. 3 bracket. But that's the 22 of them. But seeing as we have a few more times, let me find a few more cards to talk about. We'll just go over the few cards that have been spoiled recently just to fill up some time here. Overall, I guess giving my overall thoughts, I think it's fun that we're going to get 22 no cards to be able to play as commanders. Did we need them? No. But I get why they're doing it. If they're going to be pushing more spaceships and they're like, we just kind of wanted them to be commanders, but just saying commander as sounds so annoying. It's not affecting the deck, the game. Like, when you compare this to something like the argument that this is going to bring back up, oh, what's the next thing that they're going to let that are legendary, right? I mean, maybe, okay, so like, right, what's the next thing? So if you look up legendary, right? And you just do legendary, right? There's a lot of legendaries, right? But let's say you remove creature. And we already talked about vehicles, so let's remove vehicles, okay? There's 615 legendaries. Well, what's stopping something from being a legendary, right? Why can't we run Ace's baseball bat as a legend? A commander. Well, it's not really commander, is it, right? It's not really doing stuff. Okay, backgrounds. Let's remove backgrounds, right? Okay, so we're removing backgrounds. Cool. And, okay, maybe we agree that equipment shouldn't. But vehicles can be, right? You can't, like, vehicles need to be crewed, right? They're sitting there, waiting. They're not doing anything. They're not alive. You're now stating that a non-sentient thing can be a commander, right? And if that's the case, then a legendary equipment could totally be a commander, where you run creatures that come out and grab the equipment that you cast and use. Right? That's interesting, okay? The biggest thing that people don't want to see is planeswalkers. There is, I would say it's about a 50-50 split. I think things show that it's actually more like a 40-60 split, depending on whose viewers are doing it, where like 40% say don't, or 60% say don't, 40% say do. And the reason people say don't is that the game becomes significantly longer. And if you've ever played against those planeswalkers that can be commanders, they do. Casual games become longer because all of a sudden, if you can attack them, instead you attack your planeswalker, so that's less chip damage coming in. But nowadays, less and less chip damage is happening. I think the lower your bracket is, the longer the game becomes, right? With planeswalkers. And since they have to take 1 through 5 into consideration nowadays, since 1 and 2 and 3 will become a lot longer, 4 and 5 are suffering, right? 3 is getting to the point where it's like, well, most of the time you win with an Alpha Strike anyway. Or like, this guy takes them out, and then you take them out, and this guy takes you out, and then it's done. Like, the Planeswalker really didn't slow it down. I'm in the proponent that I'm like, just make them commanders. They should be. I just don't think they shouldn't. I don't think it makes sense to not have them be commanders. I think, like, mechanically, I understand why people argue it, but I think casually or, like, lore-wise, it makes sense. But let's take them out and just say, yeah, they don't want to open that can of worms. Okay, so no Planeswalkers. You are now looking at 299, okay? Now, let's just say lands can't be it, okay? You don't really want to deal with the legendary lands. Like, if you do mana value here, there's a handful of legendary lands, and, like, what do you, like, you can just play them right away? I'm sitting here going, why not? Right? Like, you want to run Academy Ruins as your commander? Well, it's got a blue pip, so it's a blue commander. And yeah, you can just play it. And it comes out as a land, and that's your commander. You always have a land drop. Cool. You want to play Barad-dû as your commander? Cool. Baldur's Gate? Yeah, that sounds cool. Run Baldur's Gate as your commander. Dark Depths? Fine. I'm 100% a proprietor of, yeah, run lands as legendaries, okay? Why not? I think it's fun, okay? Well, okay, wait. Let's make sure we're making this legal in Commander. Sorry. I think lands would be fine, okay? But I can see where people don't want them, okay? So let's say lands aren't allowed because people are like, well, you don't really cast it, so where's the commander tax? And it's like, that's fair. Now you're at 211, right? And you're looking at your legendary artifacts and your legendary enchantments, right? And I think those are fine. Again, we just got artifacts, legendary artifacts that are that need to be crewed. They're vehicles. They need a creature in them. Just like Ace's baseball bat needs a creature to hold it. Let me run it as my commander, cowards. It's colorless. It's not going to do much. But let's remove the colorless. Okay? Let's go by color. I don't want to talk about the colorless. It's boring. Okay? But we're looking at the fun stuff. So let's like, you have some mono-colored stuff. You got plenty of mono-white cards that'd be so cool. Like, auras are super cool to run as commander, like legends. Oh, the oaths would be such a cool idea. Flowering of the white trees, such a cool card. Oh yeah, Catacrys's or Caduceus. Yeah, there's some cool things if they were just like allow them to exist, right? But colorless or one color is fine. It's okay, right? But what if more? Okay, so let's hop over. Next 60. Next 60. We're now in colorless. Okay. Back. Okay, let's talk about the multicolor. Like, Gallifrey Stands would be cool. When it enters, return all doctor cards from your graveyard to your hand. Like, at the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a doctor card or creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. Then, you can't actually win with this card, but it'd be kind of fun, right? Oh, the Teferi would be cool. Dretch 9. When it enters the battlefield, exile up to one target creature. Equipped creature has menace and gets plus X0. X is the equipped creature's power. Rakdos joins up. The join up cards would be super cool. It enters the battlefield, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with 2 additional +1/+1 counters on it. When a legendary creature you control dies, Rakdos joins up, deals damage equal to the creature's power to target opponent. There's like a lot of stuff you can do that. Doors of Doran would be cool. There's just a lot. The Kenriths, any of the join-ups are cool. Oh, look, you can play Genju of the Realm as a legendary would be cool. And have music box. The Sanctum of All, right? I think they should. I am a proprietor that, honestly, if it's legendary, it should be allowed. That's my opinion. If it's legendary, it should be allowed as your commander. If you came up to me at a card store and said, hey, I'm playing this random legend, right, that I really like, right, I'd say, cool, let's do it, right? Let's play a game. Let's have fun, right? Like if you go EDH rank, the most popular legend. Oh yeah, Urberg, Tomb of Yawgmoth is my legendary creature, right? It's obviously it's black because it says swamps. Technically it's not because it can be played in any color. So this is technically a colorless commander. Same with Yavimaya. But oh, you want to run the One Ring as your commander? Cool, do it. You're stuck in colorless. That's fun. Okay. There's a down. You want to run the Great Henge as your commander? Cool. Play a big creature, get it out. That's fun. Okay. Bull is the Citadel as your commander. That's even cooler. Okay. I'm in that room. I'm in that room. I'm in that realm. I'm saying Bind to the Thassa, do it. Any of these legendary artifact enchantments or enchantment artifacts are great. The Meat Hook Massacre, awesome. Growing Rights of Itlamog, yeah, let's do it. Narset, I hate you, but sure. I want to run Elspeth Sun's Champion as my commander. The Reaver Cleaver, great commander, right? Ozoleth, the Shattered Spire, oh yeah, that's a fun commander. You want Riverdale to be your commander? Cool. Why not? Okay? I think it'd be fun. I think it adds a lot more flexibility, a lot more fun to commanders you can play. I know we already have a lot of commanders, and I'm the guy building all the commanders out there, right? But I'm also the person just saying build more. Build more. It's fun. Let's talk about Aang for a second. This card was just released. This is the set I'm most excited for. Avatar: The Last Airbender is 10 out of 10. I think it's perfect. There's like, even the bad episodes, like the one or two of them are good. They're like bad according to Avatar standards. But Avatar Aang is red, green, white, blue for a 4/4 human avatar ally with flying and firebending 2. Whenever you waterbend, earthbend, firebend, and earthbend, draw a card. Then, if you've done all 4 this turn, transform Avatar Aang. It's easy to do nothing. It's hard to forgive. Okay? It transforms into Aang, Master of Elements. This is a 6/6 legendary creature avatar ally. Flying. Spells you cast cost Wooburg less to cast, meaning Avatar Aang is a 5-color commander. They made a way to do it without having to worry about that 5. And I think the black is the spirit energy, right? At the beginning of each upkeep, you may transform Aang, Master of Elements. If you do, you gain 4 life, draw 4 cards, put 4 1/1 counters on him, and he deals 4 damage to each opponent. Okay? So, let's talk about this for a second. Okay? Here's the theories that are coming through with it, okay? First off, it says trigger, okay? You had to trigger all of these, okay? Which means it cannot just be ETB. That's going to be too hard to trigger him. The opinion, I think, of most is that the firebending, all the bendings will trigger on, maybe on ETB, but definitely on attack. So when you attack, you firebend too, which should be what it's showing on the back here. So, at the beginning of each upkeep, you may transform him. If you do, you gain 4 life. So, white is air, gain 4 life. Now, there's some contentious here, back and forth, okay? Is the gaining life going to be white, which is air, or is it going to be blue, which is water, right? Because air should be white, blue is water, or water is blue, fire's red, earth is green, and black is, I guess, spiritual or just cosmic, like, because he gets it when he goes into the avatar state, right? So I think that's the spiritual side, and it'll also come into context with like just being naturally evil, or ruthless, right? But the elements will be there. So like a ruthless earthbender, an evil earthbender, would be black, green, whereas like a ruthless firebender like Ozai will be black or red. If we get not just Avatar, The Last Airbender stuff, but if we get Korra stuff, Zahir would be like black, white, right? And I think that kind of fits, okay? Unalaq would be black, blue. So the idea here is these each correspond, okay? Green is or red is obvious. It deals 4 damage, okay, to each opponent. So it's each opponent. So the cool idea would be that if firebending is deal like it's firebending 2 would be when it attacks deal 2 damage to each opponent, right? For firebending 2, firebending 4 is deal 4 damage. Firebending 1 is deal 1 damage to each opponent. And they switch it to each because each works both for target and for all. Except it does kind of hinder hexproof because it gets around it, but yeah, not a lot of hexproof around now these days. So I think that's cool for red. Earthbending is gonna be the +1/+1 counters. It works for green. It's pretty obvious for earthbending. Earthbenders can kind of like build upon themselves to get them stronger, either by putting armor on themselves or setting themselves up for more advantageous fights where they like knock your opponent off balance and then they get to go for more of like a strong stealth, a strong standing setting, and put 4/1/1 counters on him. So I people thinking that earthbending will be when they attack, put that many 1/1 counters on it. So earthbending 2, you attack, if they put 2 1/1 counters on themselves. So you don't get to spread it, but like if you attack with the 1/1, they become a 2/2. So you could have like a 1/1 earthbender who attacks with earthbending like 5, and they become a 6/6 right away, right? And if you have a way to double the counters, that's 12. Like you can get some cool things going on there, okay? The controversy here is white and blue. Blue in Magic doesn't heal you, like ever. White in Magic doesn't draw you cards, like ever. But water in Avatar heals. Air in Avatar is like speed. So until we see what they actually do, it's up in the air. I would love to see draw be under the airbending, right? I think that would be interesting. I think it would make more sense because airbenders are all about getting that more advantage, finding that like angle that you can come at to win, right? There's the angle. I found the card I need to win. Whereas waterbenders are all about going with the flow and keeping up and healing so that you can keep the game going until you can find a win, right? And I think it'd be cool to have an excuse to give white an interesting way to draw cards all of a sudden that fits by pulling from Universe Beyonds. So I'm hoping that the airbending is draw. So like whenever you attack, you airbend 2, draw 2 cards, or airbend 1, draw 1 card. And for waterbending, whenever you attack, gain waterbending life, right? So it's 2, you gain 2 life on attack. And I think there will all be attack, which is kind of interesting in my opinion. That's how I think it'll work. My opinion, I think it'll be on attack because you have to trigger him, okay? ETB is weird. It can be both is fine. Both is perfectly fine. I think both is broken, kind of. Both would limit it because both would be like, oh, you can't have earthbending or all of it be too strong because you get it on ETB and attack. They're all Titans all of a sudden. If it's just attack, then you have to wait a rotation to do something. Okay? And I think that's perfectly fine. Okay? I do. I think it's perfectly fine. And I think to trigger all this stuff, if all you need to do is attack and flip stuff, I think you're doing pretty good in that regard. You know, get the field set up, swing out with all of them, trigger all of them. I think you could do that pretty well. Okay. Maybe it will just be ETB, and flipping this guy will be a heck of a lot harder. Because then, like, what? You cast him, and he's firebending, and then you have to, like, cast the other cards. That's so much more mana. I just don't see it. I think they want you to flip this guy, and I think the flip is going to be because they're based off attack. Yeah. But enough of that. Let's talk about these cards. Individual. Okay. There's only 19. We'll just go over them very quickly. This is the card that sparked the whole thing. The Sirima. Well, let's first talk about this thing. So these are from Edge of Eternities. This is going to be people going to the Edge of Eternities is, I guess, like where, like, you're not in the realms anymore of Magic. You're outside the realms where the Blind Eternities, right? You're going to the edge of the Blind Eternities and seeing what stuff is there. And I think we're going to learn a lot about Magic here. So the Siriyama is a 1 and 2 blue, 2 green, 2 white. I can't speak. For legendary artifact spacecraft, it can be a commander. When it enters, search your library for a legendary creature card, reveal it, and put it in your hand, then shuffle. Station. Tap another creature you control, put a charge counter equal to its power onto spacecraft. Station only as a sorcery. It's an artifact creature at 7+. Station 7. Fine. Other tapped legendary creatures you control have indestructible 5/5. Okay, so the idea about this is that this is a legendary deck that you tap a bunch of legendaries to station it, and it gets equal to its power. Yeah, so once it's at 7, you can start attacking, and then it stays. Yeah, this card, it's an artifact creature at 7+. That's interesting. It's making spacecrafts different than vehicles. You don't have to stay in there. You just have to, like, keep it going, and then it can start going and doing its stuff. So this, I mean, it's cool. It ETBs and gets you a legendary creature. That's fun. Right off the bat. So grab their favorite legendary. I mean, maybe you just run whatever legendary you want. Grab the sandbox. But yeah, once it turns into 7/7, I mean, other tapped legendary creatures you control have indestructible. It's cool because then tapping them to I guess, station it is fun. Because then it's not... Then you're not really worrying about... yeah, you can just station... Only sorcery, but as long as they stay tapped, you can't lose them to board wipes, right? And then when they attack later, they're tapped. And attacking, then they're... Yeah, even if they're tapped and attacking, that's pretty cool. And I think Station 7+ is when it gets this stuff. It gets flying, other tapped legendary creatures you get indestructible. So you don't get that until you're stationed. Then all of a sudden, while you're attacking with them, they're indestructible, which is kind of fun. So, yeah, I think it's a fun legendary commander. Legendary creatures commander. Sathara, the Super Void. Will he play outside that? Maybe a legendary deck will pop up somewhere. Sathara, the Super Void, is 2 and 2 black for legendary enchantment. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent chooses a creature they control and exiles it. At the beginning of your end step, if a player controls no creatures, sacrifice Sathara, then put a creature card exiled with it onto the battlefield you control with 2 additional 1/1 counters. When a creature you control dies, each opponent chooses a creature they control and exiles it. If a player controls a creature, sacrifice it. Okay, so whenever a creature you control is realized, they have to exile. Each opponent chooses a creature they control, exiles it. And then at the beginning of the step, if a player controls no creatures, you sacrifice it. You're going to put a creature exiled with him on the battlefield with 2 additional 1/1 counters. That's not bad. This is good in like an aristocrat deck because after doing all the aristocrat stuff, if someone ends up with no cards on the field, you get something back. And they're exiled instead of just being gone. Harmonious Grovestride. It's a cool beast. They're creepy looking though. I like it. Yeah, this is going to be all trippy stuff. Ward 2, this creature's power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control. Okay, classic. This is 3 and 2 green for a star beast. It's Ward 2, and whenever its power and toughness is equal to the number of lands you control. It's good in the land deck. Yeah, it's 5-drop though, maybe standard. Tanuk, Memorial Ensign is 1 a red and a green for a 2/4 Kavu pilot with landfall. Whenever a land enters, you control enters, Tanuk deals 1 damage to each opponent. If this is the second time this ability resolves this turn, draw a card. I don't mind that. That's a good landfall deck. Especially in those colors. Being able to just play 2 lands each turn, draw a card, and deal damage. If you can... Yeah, this plays to infinite flip lands. You do that, you can just burn people to death. That's a fun commander. Good 4. Bracket. Sammy, Ship's Engineer, is 2 a red and a 2 a red and a white for 2/4 human artificer. As at the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more tapped creatures, create a tapped 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. Okay, so you want to attack, and then you get 2/2 robots, and then you can attack and get more 2/2 robots. This being a 3, I don't think there's a land matters deck, and maybe it makes it to Pioneer. I mean, each turn dealing damage. If this turn drops turn 3, then every land you play, you need additional lands to get the second. I don't know. I mean, I like it for fetch lands, right? But fetch lands are stuck in, like, Modern. So I don't know if you get there. Like, is it worth it in Modern? Like, drop this guy turn 3, and then you play a fetch land. If you can ramp and you get this guy turn 3. Fetch land, deal damage to your opponent. Next land, deal damage to the opponent, and draw a card. Maybe? Maybe. Only maybe, though. This is slow. I like it as a commander. I think it's fine. But I don't think it gets to any other format. Oh, here we go. A mythic. Cesaro Genesis Shepherd. This is a creepy card. 2 and Jund. They're showing that they showed the 4 precon card, or the 3. I guess just the 3 precon cards. Okay, at least 3 of them. Cesaro Genesis Shepherd is. Did we get a different one? No. Okay. So, Cesaro Genesis Shepherd is 2 and Jund for a 2/5 insect druid. Flying, you may play lands from your graveyard. Okay. Whenever you sacrifice another non-token permanent, draw this turn. During your turn, put a 1/1 count. Put a number of 1/1 counters equal to Cesaro's power on up to 1 other target creature. So he doesn't get it, but you put the 1/1 counters on something else when you sacrifice another non-token permanent. Equal to his power. So you want to make him big, and then you can sacrifice non-token permanents. So yeah, this is fetch land central, right? You play fetch land, sack it, trigger its effect. Oh look, Cesaro's a 2/2, put 2 1/1 counters on this creature. But like if you can put swords on it, and all of a sudden it's like a 4/4 or like a 6/6, 6 1/1 counters on that creature. That's fun. I think it's interesting. Coley, Kilo, Apogee, Mind, is Jund, or not Jund, Jeskai for a 3/3 robot, a legendary artifact creature, robot artificer, with haste, and when it becomes tapped, proliferate. That's it. I don't mind that. That's fine. It hastes, it proliferates right off the bat, so that's a fine commander. I think it's interesting. Proliferating every time it attacks. I like proliferate decks. And that'll help in the form of, like, whenever it becomes tapped also. So this actually works with all the space shifts, I guess, because you can tap it to put a counter on the space shift, put 3 on it, and then proliferate because it taps, putting more. So that'll be the space shift commander. And then Tezzeret, Cruel Captain, is here. And he's in... Oh, they only show 2 of them. Okay. Ooh, and he's still a planeswalker, but he's colorless now. 3 colorless. Do we have cool art? We have cool art. Looking at the cool art, sorry. Oh, that's so pretty. Tezzeret's like top 5 planeswalkers of all time for me. 3 loyalty for a... Or 3 colorless. 3 generic. For 4 loyalty, legendary planeswalker Tezzeret. Whenever an artifact you control enters, put a loyalty counter on Tezzeret. Oh, that's so easy. Okay. 0. Untap target artifact or creature. If it's an artifact creature, put a 1/1 counter on it. Okay. Okay, I don't mind a 0. That's fine. That's fine. Does that work with fish? Does that work? Yeah. Yeah, it does. It does, doesn't it? No, it doesn't return it to your hand, does it? But you untap. Yeah, that can go infinite with the right setup for Z. Yeah. Yeah? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. I'm trying to think here, right? So if you... Let me think. Let me collect my thoughts. Okay, I can't find a way to break it and with just the 0, but -3, search your library for an artifact card with mono value 1 or less, reveal it, put it in your hand, then show. That's great. That's great. This card just comes with this card's gonna see play everywhere, guys. This card will see play in Modern, in Standard, in Pioneer. It'll probably see play in Legacy and Vintage too. This card's broken. I love this card. Okay, like untapping, like dude, this untaps the One Ring. Okay, which is great in CEDH, and then it's -3. Just go grab Soul Ring for CEDH and whatever 1-drop you need in any other format. And it's mono value 1 or less artifact. So it's not like Urza Saga where it's 1 or 0. It's 1 or like 1 or 0 like mana value. It's 1 or less mana value, right? Like that's pretty simple. Like you can go grab. Oh crap! This can go grab you Walking Ballista. That's gross. And -7. You get an emblem with at the beginning of your combat on your turn. Put 3 1/1 counters on target artifact you control. If it's not a creature, it becomes a 0/0 robot artifact creature. That's great too. That's also great. I love this guy. I love it. I want one. It's going to be expensive. It's going to be expensive, guys. I don't want it to be expensive. And he's old. Oh, I love it. Man, he's the bad guy. You can tell. You can tell he's just evil. Doing his evil stuff, guys. He wants to just be in charge of the Blind Eternities. Edge of Eternities, man. I love this. Okay, sorry I gushed over him for too long, I guess, but... Yeah. That's the new cards that have been shown off. I mean, I guess I can show off these really cool lands, too. And then, yeah, there's a few... I guess they're bringing back Shocklands. Good. That's gonna... 4 or 5. Just 5 of them. And oh, cool. What's this guy? Mutavaults. Cool. I think this is Starlight Sights. This is that interesting like side sets that they do. That won't be standard legal. That's fine. Need another reprint of that either. But getting Shocklands reprinted, that's good. So yeah. That's the podcast. If you want to support me, subscribe. Peace.